He stood on the front porch, calm, almost relaxed. Behind him, police officers were searching the house. In front of him, a news camera was rolling. His pregnant wife and his 2 little daughters had vanished. And yet, he smiled. He asked them to come home. But 5 days later, the world would learn something terrifying, because the camera had captured something investigators almost missed. And that small moment would expose a killer. August 13, 2018, Frederick, Colorado. It began as a missing persons case. Shanann Watts and her daughters Bella Watts and Celeste Watts had seemingly disappeared overnight. The house looked untouched. No broken windows, no forced entry, no signs of a struggle. Her purse was still inside. Her phone sat on the couch. Her car was in the garage. To investigators, it looked like something deeply wrong had happened, but no one had seen anything. Except one person, her husband, Chris Watts, and according to him, he had no idea where they were. That same afternoon, Chris Watts stood outside his home, speaking directly to the cameras. It looked like a husband begging for his family to return, but something felt off. His words said panic, but his body language didn't. He smiled. He chuckled nervously. He rocked back and forth. At one point, he said, "If they're safe right now, I want them to come back." But viewers noticed something strange. He wasn't angry. He wasn't desperate. He wasn't demanding answers. Instead, he looked uncomfortable, almost like someone pretending to be worried. The interview spread across the internet overnight. Millions watched it, and thousands of viewers said the same thing. Something about this man felt wrong. Then investigators found something critical: a neighbor's home security camera. The footage captured Chris Watts early that morning, and what it showed was unusual. Instead of parking on the street like he normally did, he backed his truck directly into the driveway. At 5:17 a.m., police reviewed the footage inside the neighbor's house, and Chris Watts was standing right there beside them, watching. As the video played, something changed. His posture stiffened. He placed his hands on his head. He began rocking. His breathing became shallow. It was subtle, but investigators noticed, because sometimes a camera doesn't just record actions, it records guilt. As detectives dug deeper into the investigation, another truth surfaced. Chris Watts had been living a double life. Phone records revealed he was having an affair. Investigators also found disturbing Google searches. Just days before the murders, he had searched, "How much is my wife worth?" To detectives, it raised a chilling question. Was this just a failing marriage, or something far darker? The pressure began to close in. Investigators brought Chris Watts in for questioning. For hours, he maintained his innocence, but experienced interrogators noticed the cracks. His timeline didn't match the evidence. His emotions never matched the situation. Then detectives confronted him with what they already suspected, and suddenly, the story changed. He claimed his wife had hurt the children, and that he had reacted in anger. But investigators knew it wasn't true, because the evidence told a very different story. And eventually, Chris Watts broke. He admitted everything. He had killed his pregnant wife, then loaded his daughters into his truck, driving them to a remote oil site. The same truck captured on the neighbor's camera, the same driveway, the same morning. The smiling husband on television was the same man responsible for destroying his own family. The entire interview, the calm voice, the desperate pleas, it had all been an act. In November 2018, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case shocked the entire country, because from the outside, the Watts family looked perfect. Smiling photos, suburban home, 2 happy children. But behind that image was something no one saw coming. Experts later examined the case through a psychological lens. Chris Watts displayed patterns often seen in family annihilator cases: conflict avoidance, emotional detachment, a need to maintain the image of a perfect life. To most people, a divorce would have been the obvious escape, but to Chris Watts, losing the illusion of his life was worse than destroying it. So instead of facing consequences, he tried to erase the problem. In the end, The truth didn't come from a confession, or even from the investigation. It came from small moments. A nervous smile, a subtle shift in body language, a truck backing into a driveway before sunrise. Chris Watts believed he could appear normal, but sometimes, the smallest detail reveals everything. And sometimes, evil hides behind the most ordinary smile. Every case leaves a record. Some are ignored, others demand a closer look. At Arcane Echo, True Crime, we follow what was documented, not what was assumed. If you value evidence over speculation and process over narrative, subscribe and enable notifications. Each episode examines verified records, investigative steps, and official timelines, so you can see how facts are established and how cases actually unfold. Until the next case is examined, stay observant,